Good morning, class. Welcome to Homeroom with Unc and Market Monk. Morning, P. How's your week?
Kind of a wild one for me. Gallbladder surgery and COVID, but mostly traded MSTR and did well on that. It's just sitting around some pivots. Kind of a tight range for that one, but you just got to take doubles instead of home runs. And then, yeah, the overall market kind of reacted how I thought. I did catch some Has some SQQQ I bought a while ago that really took off. Kind of a hedge just to protect some other things, and then oil's done really well for me. Some metals too. So more maintenance. Another short week. Didn't want to get overextended in anything, so kept it light.
Yeah, I had high expectations and hopes for trading and going into the week, but I woke up to the stock. It's called a Fabo, Fabo, Fubo, maybe
Yeah,
Fubo,
yeah,
maybe Fubo. I don't know. I don't
right,
know.
right.
I never heard of it. But yeah, I woke up to that and I, yeah, I called it. Didn't really call it good, but I was like, all right, let's give ourselves a little more time here because um, that was enough. Did trade a couple things like Nat and BJ last week, but more of just back in the books. Um, I know we're gonna get into talking about where things are, but just watching, kind of making a list of stuff that I like where it's at. Give me one or two more candles, and it's just good to go with the consolidation of the level. Um, and then obviously the Thursday kind of threw stuff off. Just not having that full day to really get the good flow from me. So had high expectations to trade, not regularly, but a little more actively. And Paper Hand Unk came in Monday morning bright and early. So just kind of another week of hitting the books. But I think that was not lucky or anything like that, but just it was the best case for the market last week because nothing really went anywhere. So whatever I was going to do last week, I could probably do this week.
um, Reviewing the Fubo trade real quick. That for me was it's like a park and wait. I bought
Yeah,
it, over time. I didn't really. It's not one I even thought about every day. I was waiting for something like what happened,
yeah,
and you know that is what the flow said was gonna make some kind of move like that. Didn't know when because they were buying leaps and then they were rolling leaps and stuff like that. So the that kind of park and wait setup has been one of the best things for me over the past almost 2 years now, and I'm just wondering, you know, you're thinking with was Fubo kind of like an actively managed swing for you, or was it just something that we got our zone, we've been here, done that, and you know this is not a $1.20 stock, it's not a $1.40 stock. It's going to get news, and something's going to happen. The name, I mean, yeah, for them in particular, having used them, I'm like, this setup is good enough. Someone's going to want this. Like, it's not just going to go
sure.
away. So what was your, walk me through your history with Fubo a little bit.
So Fubo, I mean, I've kind of followed it. I'll zoom out even farther. It was like one of the first Momo stocks back in the day, just to kind of
Yeah,
fit everything. I mean, it was $60, and I traded it back then. I'm not gonna lie, and I wasn't a bag holder. Luckily, it could have been looking at the chart,
yeah,
but when we got on it, um, we were very very early. So I it's a good example of rinse and repeating to either get the average down or get to free, and just because of the drop that we had from the $3 level, I've been free for a while in this. So for me, it was just
yeah.
a hold on to. I mean, I had no ambition to get rid of it, and I had enough of it. I mean, for me, having 2 or 3 thousand shares, that's enough. I don't need like 10K. I don't want to get like overly saturated into one play because then, I mean, even though I am free shares, let's just do that real quick. So if I got 2,000 free shares here, yeah, it's 3 grand, 2,400 profit, whatever the case may be, depending on how you look at it. Sure, that's profit that I'm still in the market in, but it's not part of my original account. It's just all free shares. So if that goes to 10K though, now we're talking like 15, 20. Even if that has a bad day, I'm still, even though I'm free, I'm still gonna feel a little bit different. So I don't try to oversize and stuff like this. Um, just in general. So the trading itself for me, um, we haven't really mentioned Fubo much. If you search the group, I did mention it in November that if you want to buy this as an investor, now's the time. And again, just go search the group. It was pretty much the last time I've talked about it because again, we've went through that cycle of the trade. To accumulate, we're just waiting, and yeah, you can never pick the date. We've watched the numbers here pretty diligently. I've said it the whole time. The subscribers are important. Um, Simple, flat brain. Disney has a lot of subscribers, so they just increase that. And yeah, I mean, you gotta nail that back end part. Whether it's like 500 shares or a couple thousand, playing the chart and accumulating them free. I don't even like to carry an average if I'm going to hold it a long time because then you still get the do I add more here? But for me, the only way I was going back into Fubo or cutting it, and it would have been back in or cutting it, would have been at the dollar psych. So that, I mean, that's how I was playing it.
That was it for me too. I mean, um, I left it alone because I can't, in terms of option flow with something that's a dollar and change. Yeah, I can read the $1.50 weeklies or the $2 monthlies or something like that. But I mean, for me, it was just okay. There's something big here, and I'm just going to position for that. And for me, because I do some options, I mean, it was 1C leaps, so they're in the money, they're cheap because it's the price of that's the underlying and all that. And so obviously those were very explosive. It was the same thing I did with Rigetti. Um,
Yes, yes.
I ended up I sold more Rigetti than I planned on because it went so far beyond what I expected. But I've still kept some, and that's why you know Jensen makes comments about quantum computing. They all tank, whatever. With the average I have on it, I don't really care as long as I'm still in that because I think the quantum thing's going to stick around, right? But and I compared those to SoundHound and BBAI did this kind of thing too, where there could be a move later that far exceeds anything we're even doing now, but you don't want to be bagged on these stocks going into that. So like the people chasing Fubo now, like I think Fubo could be 8, 12, 15, 20. I mean,
50,
it just depends on how the streaming
50,
stuff plays out.
50.
But you don't want to, buy it at 6 and have it go back to 3,
Not yet.
waiting for that to happen.
No,
And so like,
go
and
ahead.
that's what people do,
Sure.
like all the time. So that's why like our setup on these, you're gonna see it play out. It's gonna happen with Tilray. It's gonna happen with Open again, like a bunch of ones like that.
Hmm.
The discipline, I've tried to sort of build, has taken time, and really discipline comes from position sizing. To me, it's a lot easier to be disciplined when you're not, you just don't have a big chunk of your account hanging out in the stock, no matter how good your average is. So I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah, the thing I would deviate from or disagree with it a little bit, and what you said is, um, well, let me say this first. So there's for me always an A and a B. Is this like an investment stock,
Yeah,
or like one that I trust the company? I do say all stocks are shit. So like Fubo's a good example. Lumen's probably another good example. Open, you said, and Tilray, you said. Those are great examples. So for me, I'm kind of fine with maybe hanging out in them a little bit longer, or keeping a core position. But like with Rigetti, for me, um, I sold most of that at 7, a little bit more at 10, but I haven't got back in. For me, I don't think the the stock is worth that much. especially in the short term. And I don't know much about the industry or the company to be a long term investor. So for me, like we had a great trade that next time I trade it, like we're talking about getting some more or re-entry, I just want the setup to be so clean and fresh in my head, and having a core position or a previous position will still hold some mental space for me. So I usually clean out of them. But it's A or B, P. It's like, am I going to hold some of this forever? Or is this just a trade
Yeah.
because, is this an IC or a Gurn or, for me, Rigetti?
Right. Yeah. Well, I no, I'm pretty much. I think I pretty much agree with you. The quantum thing, I'm a little more invested in that. Like, I don't mean like monetary, but just like sort of, the research, the DD I put into it, and
Mm-hmm.
just sort of had a plan for that. And for me, it's I mean, I'm talking like Honeywell, IBM. Like, I
Yes.
have a whole basket of stuff there, and Rigetti's kind of part of that. But there were some, like, I used to just clear out something like Piton and just completely get out of it. But even Piton has gotten to the point where um, I always want to keep some, even from like an investor perspective. Um, even though, I mean, that that business model just doesn't seem like compared to where it was, um, isn't really that great. But given the price and sort of how it's kind of proven itself, and the potential for someone to want that name and everything, I do tend to keep that one. Um, and Beyond Meat might reach that point someday for me. That one, I get the hell out of it every time it pops, because it gives it all back every time. But eventually it might not. But
You're
I
talking,
will
you're
just say that,
talking, just on those two though, P. You're talking 7 out of 10. So there's a reason, right? I mean, those are 7 out of 10 names on the street.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, for
So
sure,
where
yeah,
Rigetti,
yeah. I'm
like,
I'm just saying, like,
it's not there yet. So I think Rigetti will just have such a super cycle that the core position from your dollar that you took to 20, mentally for me, gets in the way. I
yeah.
wish I could have held it to 20 or even 15. Like I said, I was out at like 7 and a little at 10, around 10, I think. Um, but how
The
that
only
happens is I
the
move the
only
stop losses
reason
up always. I just keep moving the stop loss up on stuff like that, and if it hits, I just walk away.
the only reason I did is that I had 1C options I exercised. So,
Okay.
like, that's where the 300 shares came from. The shares I bought as shares are long gone. But with those, they came up on, coming up on their expiration. Am I gonna just roll this, sell it, whatever? And I just decided to exercise three of them, and so 300 shares at $1. I'm fine with that. But yeah, I mean, it's not even in the same account that I would be trading
Sure.
Rigetti in if I bought back into it. So definitely um, separate trades there. But yeah, I wanted to get on this topic a little bit, just to sort of kind of walk through our thought process, and it's part of a bigger concept for me of you know don't start over every day. I mean, so, like, I really think that that's the biggest obstacle that newer traders have, and it's something I struggled with, where it's like, yeah, you can trade, your day trading options. You start fresh every day. It's so mentally exhausting, and when you
Mm-hmm.
actually are kind of, you know, you have a sense of the market, and you're really starting to see things, but you're not catching a lot of these moves, because you're sidelined overnight every time, because you're just going to start over every day. And then the pre-market move is better than what happens during the day half the time. You can look up data on that. So finding a way uh, to stay in these things, and use your work, and let the work play out. Let the trades play out, in a way that's uh, mentally healthy for you too, where you can weather the kind of the ups and downs, and it's like, I have a plan for this stock, and I'm fine with it playing out this way. And just one more recent example, First Solar, I just kept saying, look, it's below 180.
Yeah,
I see
200.
this going over 200. I mean, that's pretty simple. So if it's under 180 and I see it going over 200, why would I not just be buying it? And then, popped over 200, cleared out what I planned to clear out, and then um, we go from there. So I think for anyone, the whole day trade, swing, investment, finding a balance, between those is really important. And the work that we put out, I think, does give people opportunities to, you know, target some stocks where they can um, start to build that. And I would just say also, you know, take a lot of notes on what your decision making, and review that. What leads you to make these decisions, and you can just constantly keep reviewing that and improve that way as well.
Yeah, I mean, I caught it. I caught it a few months ago, maybe even mid year, to be honest. But just the getting things across a little bit more in freshman terms, layman terms, however you want to put it. And my most recent success of that
Yeah,
was when in late September, early October. I just said, people, stop, just give yourself time, just give yourself time right now. And that's changing currently because we're talking about consolidation. But as I talk about that, I can't talk about that in a professor or a grad school language. So I'm gonna try to dumb it down a little bit here. And I think you made a great point about the pre-market that everybody misses. And I mean, it's clear as fucking day. The pre-market, it's more active because that's like kind of setting up the range for the day. If you notice any stock, if you watch volume on a stock, if it's under its 30-day average, which I pay attention to, or you could probably use just the week average, it's probably going to stay inside the box. That box is tradable, but just know where you're going. Now, if you get more than 100% of your 30-day or 7-day or whatever volume average you fucking use, you get 100% of that or more, you're going to probably go outside that range. Now, if you have more sellers, it's probably going to be
yeah,
down. If you have more buyers, it's probably going to be up. You need to keep it that simple.
right, right.
It in the
Yeah,
grand scheme of thing, the volume is very important on a day-to-day basis, because you are going to get slower moving times. And I don't know if I just come up with a little post every couple days or something, but I mean, we have like there's the fear and greed index, but you guys really got to understand sometimes the market is on like go mode, and sometimes the market is kind of on we're hanging out mode. And you have to press the gas pedal when the market's flying, and you got to slow the hell down when the market isn't. And we
yeah,
said we've talked about it since the first of the year. I said, hey, are we gonna have some downside or just some rotation of buyers and sellers and consolidation? So right now, if you're normal sizing is 100, man, bump that shit to 25 or 50 for a minute, and if you normally trade 10 trades, bump that
yeah.
down to 3 just because of how the market is right now. But you really got to look at it from that perspective, because things that work in the booming market are going to get you killed right now, and you're going to try to find something to blame besides understanding how the game is really played. Sorry about the rant, P.
No, absolutely. And for me, people are just now getting clued in on this, but this 10-year yield on the bonds,
Yeah, yeah,
I said over and over again, I'm like, while this is ripping upwards, you're not going to hold any gains in anything. You're going to you get days where, QQQ will pop up 1% or something like that. It's gonna give it back, and you're gonna have your 3 down days and your 2 good days, and like all that's gonna continue to happen. Well, now that everybody's talking about it, um, and you have obviously inauguration coming up and everything like that. You're gonna get people as kind of the other side of this, and being late and short is also bad. Often it's worse in many ways, and so like that'd be my big concern right now, because this stuff has just kind of ripped so much, that this thesis I've had about the pop and fade and the down days and pullback, like all of that has been showing up. I would be really careful, trying to short the market here. going into this week. That's kind of my overall idea. But I will say that you look at things like oil and natural gas, in particular, natural gas almost hitting $4. A lot of this stuff that we talked about for months, it's like, okay, you know, here we are. And to me, commodities, I don't really think you're you're late at all. I think there's names there. Should have been buying some earlier, but they're setting up to make a pretty explosive move higher from what I'm reading. And I see it in copper, I see it in natural gas, I see it in uranium, I see it in silver, and this idea of the energy trade is something I'm going to stay on because one of the things that like you bring solar into that, and I noticed last week that solar was really strong compared to what SPY was doing. I've seen this before. It's exactly what Enphase did when it took off the last time. So I think like to me, being very precise and targeted in sectors is going to be crucial. And then there are those smalls that don't give a crap what SPY's doing, and that's kind of our wheelhouse too. So I think that our whole approach pays off big time in these conditions. But if you're just going into these conditions trying to chase calls and puts and SPY and Nvidia and stuff like that, you're going to be into for some real problems. So just hit the books with us and stick to some of these sectors we're talking about, and I think you'll do fine.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. I do approach it from a completely different angle, and that's why I love working with you. Just because you're not there's
Yeah.
not a lot of overlap or redundant or bias confirmation in what we do. Um, so for me, I'm just I call this like in between plays. I always used to use the football analogy, like Sunday's the huddle, we huddle up, we go out there, we do the play. Um, this kind of feels
Yeah.
like what's holding. What are they running now? I'm getting to read the defense a little bit in these situations. I don't like panic if I don't get a trade every day. So I'm totally always with you when you say that starting fresh every day. That just sounds terrible. I mean, you only want to start fresh trading once, and that's your very first day you trade, and that's miserable. You don't ever want to do that again. I totally agree with that. But I like to slow down a little bit and just see what's holding or see what's like you're saying with some of the smalls, what's just totally going against the grain in the market. Um, it's easier when you only have a couple options, in my opinion, than when it's everything. And then you got to, decipher what has the best range, what has the best flow. And in these conditions, there's only few things on support that are in the right sector. So it just makes it easier for me. And then again, the guidance in the sectors from you kind of even narrow it down a little bit more for me. But that again, something I really don't. I mean, right now, I guess I'm looking a more shorter time frame than you are from a general market perspective.
No, I do like I like our different approaches there. Yeah, real quick on natural gas. Like I just want to say that we absolutely nailed this in this room.
Yeah,
I mean,
price
I don't
fixing mother.
I haven't seen anywhere where people have done natural gas as well as we have, and this is like the third or fourth time that we've done it. So I mean, this is up 100% from where I started to say buy natural gas stocks. It was $2 and change. It was like two
That's the one I got.
whatever. It was like under 250. I'm like I'm gonna
Yeah,
start buying stuff. And you saw like what it did. I mean, it hung out there for a while, but that was why I said it's your UNGs and avoid options on the leveraged ETFs and all that. But yeah, I mean, this just absolutely, yeah, proud of the work there. Just wanted to get that out there. And then
yeah. I might not have been
real
right.
quick,
I might not have been right on the price fix and stuff, but man, it sure seems like it. I mean, I don't think that'll lead.
oh yeah,
I don't
no,
think that'll lead your news that the backdoor deals are going away. But it's just the timing of it. It looks like the backdoor deals are going away.
Yeah, I mean, for it to hit $4, it's like, okay, now we're getting back into more a price that reflects reality
Yeah.
a little bit more.
I think I
But
think I think a lot of people
I
don't even look at it like that, P. We weren't I mean, people are asking now, why is natural gas $4? We were asking why the hell is it 2?
yeah,
I mean,
right,
that's the
yeah,
better
exactly,
question. Better
yeah,
question.
right, right, yeah. One I wanted to talk about one name. I just see it popping up on Twitter all over the
No.
place, and
No, did we already have this conversation?
I well, yeah, I just wanted to reiterate it because this is a.
No.
I mean, I think it was like $140 when we first
Can
were
you
talking
get
about
more?
this, but
Hey, can you do me a favor and get more than 2 years on your screen for me for
yeah,
the people playing at home?
yeah. Let's see, what you want, like a weekly?
Well, just give me like 15. Okay, so this is a
Okay,
$10 stock. Yeah, that's all I want you people to understand. And
yeah, yeah,
19, it was a $10 stock, maybe a
yeah.
$20 stock. All right, this didn't break 100 till
Right, right.
when? Till the COVID push? Till the COVID market this broke 100? Yeah, pay attention, people. We'll talk about it at $75, $77, somewhere in there. We're not talking about it here. And the same thing I said at
So
160
this is
applies.
what
Sorry.
this is what I see people. I see people do a lot when the market gets in some kind of like pullback or whatever. Like they'll take a name and it's like the biggest loser in that sector, and it's like, okay, so this is the one I'm going to target. This is the one that's going to turn around. And for me in trading, I look at like the exact opposite. Like for me, it was ARM and Dell because they actually held up pretty well and would react to the selling. Like ARM had some terrible days, 8% down. But you know what? It went up 5 or 6%, the next day, and I saw it react around different levels and things like that. I've just seen this one in the option flow just been kind of like a slow bleed out, and they just keep moving the brackets down and down and down. So the idea that this is a no-brainer stock to buy here because of
Because
some narrative you have in your head about AI in the future just doesn't reflect the flow, and it also, I don't think, reflects the chart very well either. Because this just seems to be really struggling to me. So
maybe the minute chart. I mean, I don't
so
know.
I mean,
I
to
know
see
the whole
that,
story. I mean,
and it's
you're really talking with people that started trading in 20, 21, 22. Those people are going to see this chart different than someone
yeah,
who've been here the whole time. Someone that traded Nvidia back then, instead of this,
right, right,
and even then and I still think it's the leading thing, and everyone's talking AI, quantum computing, yada yada yada, but that's not first. First is self-driving, and Nvidia owns that game, so I mean
yeah,
that's why I went that way. But they're just second fiddle, and they're still overpriced. So I mean, if you got them, where were you guys when it was under $100? Like, yeah, I don't know.
yeah. No, I know, right.
You're gonna be
So I
bagged when
mean,
we get
and
there
it's
again.
just funny that it's a lot of this, like the CLSK accounts rotated to AMD for some reason lately, and so it's kind of the same mentality. It's just gets them into that. So yeah, I mean, so there's a reason that
I mean, you have one reason
pop
to
up.
trade. It's got one check from ETA side right now, P. It's 200 on the weekly, but you're one candle there. I need at least 3. I mean, we just touched it.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, if you're like, all right, big money's going to defend here, but still, we might just be here for a little bit before we do check down again. I'm not even interested until $100, and really, I'll wait then. It's it's
yeah,
PE
it's
is PE is 218. So I mean, it's way
right.
overvalued here. Yeah, I hate
Yeah, I'm
this.
totally with you.
Hate this
But I
stuff.
think there's the JV team in the semis is a little better
Yeah,
for
why
sure,
wouldn't you just trade
but
him and
people don't
X?
get
No,
the.
I was just gonna say that. Why wouldn't you just not just on
Yeah.
ratio? Just on ratio. Why wouldn't you trade him and X?
Yep. Yeah, yeah, with you. Another one of those just Twitter on what not to trade, because a lot of threads on AMD lately.
No,
All
I've
right,
seen
so
it,
real
I've seen
quick.
it as well, and then it slowly creeps into our room. Someone will ask about it, which they did. It's already came up. Um, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Always better
I saw
fish.
that.
Always better fish.
Yep. Um, yeah, it is one of those when people do ask about it. It's like, oh, I know about the stock. I didn't forget about it, but I haven't talked about it because there's nothing to talk about. So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't
um,
think we're gonna
real
miss
quick on
many 9 out of 10 names on the street. You know what I mean? Like we're not gonna miss those if
yeah,
they're in a good spot. Just even from
right,
an investor standpoint, I would I would say something. 100%.
yeah. All right, so real quick on Bitcoin, I saw the 92 area as kind of like a local floor here. I very well could break down, but that's kind of held up pretty well. So it seems to me this like 92 to 96, they are holding it here, waiting for what's next. And I don't know what's next. Could be government related. Um, could be more tether FUD. You could have some big MSTR scandal or something. I mean, it's something. But I think that the we could break out of this to the downside. I'm kind of aware of that, but I do think that there are some opportunities in crypto stocks to think about start building again. The the trade on the service stocks, the trade range is fine. I got pivots on MSTR and Coin, and that works well. But as just, I mean, from someone who trades this from your perspective, what are you looking for Bitcoin to do in relation to some of our stocks at their levels? Because I know there's a few miners you like that you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like a couple that are obviously on the level, but they're more scalps for me. So and I don't like Bitcoin up here at the 9 to 92. I mean, you have done an amazing job with tops and bottoms on both of it from this whole run from about November. You just kind of had it by the tail. But aren't the stocks need Bitcoin to run like 5 or 10K a day to actually get some good range on them for the most part. If not, you just get bounces. So they're not really they're not what I like to trade it anymore. They're just not. Um, I think if we get the run two, like if you start talking 120, I'll start looking at them again. Or if we get down into the 70s, I'll start paying attention again. But just this high end consolidation is not good for those charts. Outside of a couple few which we've talked about, but they're not given that 40-50% anymore. You know, you're getting maybe 10, 17, 20 at best on the move. So um,
And what the two things you just said are exactly what I've been saying. People can search the group. I said Unc and I aren't talking 120, and I said that when Bitcoin was like 107. I was like, this is, we're running out of gas here, and so we were going to pull back, and then we're down here, and I still am not really talking, 120. The best thing that could happen for those charts for me, and this isn't the best thing for people already bagged in those, but would be for big overreaction to the downside, or clearing out leverage or whatever. You go mid candle on this run, the election run, and you go to 80 or 78. Now we're in business. Now they reset. Now the flow kicks back in, and we're back at it. So yeah, for those to be like really great trades, like I do think that that would be what you would want. I would just say like my approach to it is there are a couple of the minor charts that I start to scale into now with the idea that we might dip to there. So you're going into that knowing that I'm buying this now, and my next buy on this might be 10% lower than this, but I'm not 100% certain that we're going to dip here. So if we go up from here, I'm just going to have a smaller position and kind of go from there. So I think there are a couple like that, but full send sector. not happening right now. So I think I'm with you on that. There's some extra precision and some extra checks, but I do think the sector is gonna stay active.
Well, you have some.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I never said it this way, but you got some local bag holders on a lot of these charts now. Um,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
they're not bag
yeah,
holders from the
absolutely.
first run; they're bag holders from this last run, and I tend to stay away from those in general. Um, for me, I really want
Yeah.
Bitcoin to crash enough that coin goes back into the hundreds, and then I'll play that again. That's what I because that's the one that will make it out of the list that I have. That I'm not in already. If we're going to count the other financial people as Bitcoin, I'm in some of those. But again, those are all
I
10 out of the 10 names on the street.
I right. I mean, I think coin is a $400 or $500 stock. However, before that, I do think it is maybe not 120 again,
Oh,
but
180.
160, 180,
Yeah, somewhere in there.
something like that. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm totally with you there.
Yeah, no, I mean that'd be a good time to get back into it. Because I didn't hold any of this from the
Yep.
70s.
Yeah, good stuff.
Want to do overall market?
All right. So
Or you got other things?
yeah, yeah. Real quick, just gold and silver.
Oh yeah, please.
Yes. I mean, we're so yeah. Silver, I think still objectively looks better
Mm.
short term right now. Um, Gold, I mean, I'm kind of shot calling gold that it's going to have this big explosive move from here. I That's totally like flow based, and I'm just gonna stick with that. I don't think that. I mean, the trades I'm doing there don't really need that to happen to for Barrick, gold, the ticker gold
Yeah,
to
I'm
move
in
to
it.
20 and all
In
that.
it.
But yeah, I mean, I just think that there's going to be global financial conditions that are going to be very good for gold and silver. So I my not advice is get a piece of some of these because I think they're going to be some of the easier setups for us, in particular some of the names that we find at the levels we do.
You got like a solid 50% move in gold on this chart from November 23 straight up. And unlike Bitcoin, the divergence in the gold miners or gold stocks and the silver miners and the silver stocks is tremendous. So not that I don't believe the number you threw out there for gold. I've been on record for saying that, but those charts need to catch up. So any positive or this even continuation of this trend or a test of the magical 3,000 number here, I think pushes those charts. Yeah, and the flow's good, the TA's good. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with Barrick Gold. So there's clear winners in every sector. If you're lazy, silver's just gonna be less harder to get messed up in. That's how I see it. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, right. And then also there's those gold and silver charts that
like ego. I'm not. I
they'll
mean,
just have it really.
ego could go either way.
Yes, yeah. And then there's ones like some wild cards like SBSW that have some political stuff that can drag them down, and there's like good day trades there sometimes and stuff like that. But I mean, overall, like I think gold and silver are going to have a better year than Bitcoin is. That's my take, right?
What
Like I just think
the commodity or the charts and the sectors? The, like what?
the commodity,
Okay, okay.
and then charts, some individual charts and sectors, sure, but yeah, I just think the strength of that commodity is going to be better. Yeah, Bitcoin, there's a lot of leverage, and I think people are just going to kind of get jerked around quite a bit. Who got in over 100K, and they're going to keep toying with that number, and then 6 months are going to go by, and we've had a ton of range, but haven't really gone anywhere. That's kind of what I see
Don't
there.
the
Whereas,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish it.
yeah,
Finish it.
whereas with gold and silver, I just see a more um, there are material reasons for this to go up and continue going up
Yeah, for
that
me,
are harder to.
gold and silver have like a real world implication if they with their price.
Yeah,
Bitcoin does if Bitcoin goes if we wake up tomorrow and it's $250,000 for Bitcoin, it really don't affect anything. It don't change anything.
right.
So just the range that Bitcoin could have, I'd never want to say anything will outpace it. But from a chart standpoint, the gold and silver charts are going to kill these Bitcoin charts during this year. It's not even going to be close because I think with the hash thing and all that not being positive news anymore. Like we got 10,000 new mining machines and we can have that's not positive anymore. So what news do those guys really have besides the price of Bitcoin? And we've seen it through time. Um, we were trading Mara at a higher price point when Bitcoin was making the run from 17 to 35 than we are when Bitcoin's making the run from 70 to 100. So for
And I
me,
mean,
it's just yeah, it's
for,
backside trade speed.
it's not a coincidence that every miner that we like has an exit plan to be a data center.
Yeah,
It's almost
yeah,
across the board, so it's like because there's a shelf life on mining Bitcoin as being a profitable enterprise, and it just gets more and more difficult. So you have to have something else that you're doing with all those machines, and so that the IRENs and ones like that, that's where they stand out. But yeah, good stuff. So all right, I didn't think I have more energy than I thought I would. I've kind of rambled a bit, so we'll go back to the market impressions here. Um, so here we are at 580. What are your thoughts on? I know we didn't set
well, you can
targets
hey
last
run
week.
the tape back. This candle was 580 to 600 support and resistance. it's I like
Yeah,
I like I mean yeah
yeah,
we got what we said opening it that it's at the bottom um, of that candle is kind of telling that it gave so much away on Friday. But I think we're here. I think
yeah.
we're still here for a while. I mean this week's the 17th. That's such a big day. I don't think we're gonna run up or down into that date. Um, so yeah, I'm looking for another similar candle, maybe a little tighter this week, to be honest.
Um, yeah. No, I agree, and I think trying to short SPY at 580 is a little bit dicey. I think you'd want if you do that sort of thing, you'd want like a pop and fade setup where you go retest it and then to it, not through it. It's kind of where what I'm thinking there. Just looking at the kind of the option activity here. Some of the open interest that's out there. This 545p for June, the one I mentioned that one last week. They sold off a lot of those on this drop, so they're kind of maybe sort of repositioning there. But for me, and I said it a lot in collabs this week, this 117 date. I mean, these are. It's not just a monthly option expiration. I mean, these are the leaps from 2 years ago day kind of thing. And so for SPY and lots of other stuff, it is a pretty big day to clear the books on it. Just get a lot of this option activity out of it. Roll whatever you're gonna roll. Take your pennies. The stuff that got destroyed. All that. But yeah. So to me, I think the downside, the big picture downside for the market still is in like the 560 area, maybe. But I don't really expect us to make some dramatic move down this week on that.
Yeah, no, definitely not this week. um, I also don't think the 600 is not going to come into play this week. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, it's just gonna we're just in that time. We have It looks like one candle on the weekly that's pushed into the year, and you're gonna have two or three, in my opinion, before we make a decision. I've said it, and I'll probably reiterate it next week, but um, the stuff that pushes SPY is gonna be flat, It's gonna be the B's and C's, and those don't move SPY. Those move the Russell and stuff like that. So those names are gonna be way better. If you spend too much time on the bigger names, they're just not gonna have that range they've had the last 2 years. So not necessarily chasing, but there's just easy. There's gonna be way easier setups. So this is gonna become boring for a while, maybe a little range bound. If you said what 560, I think, I like that. I don't think we can get lower than like 555, to be honest. So we're in the similar ballpark. But if you look at the 10 year up here where we are, from about 545 to the 610, it's just it doesn't really have anything built. So something's gonna have to build in here. So I'm just gonna be watching this. Because I don't trade SPY, but just be watching this for what really stands out, where buyers come in. Yeah, because that's what
these are
that's what you
you
need.
get the
You need the people to be like it. The big money to be like we're we're underweight in these names and in this ETF. That's what you need. You need the big money to say, yep, it's safe to come back in, and I think that's really when you get that next leg up.
and in the meantime, you're going to get a lot of days where Apple is in a little 0.3% range. It's just like not really
Yeah, yeah.
like they'll just sort of park things, and so that's where you have to look elsewhere. Uh, totally with you on that.
Yeah, for me, I mean,
Let's
if you trade SPY, I guess I mean, there are familiarities there, but the good SPY traders uh, trade when it's overextended, and um, there's just
Yes,
not a lot of extension
yeah.
to it right now. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, and I mean the on your so like okay like Friday,
Yeah.
yeah, Friday was pretty good for you can catch this flush. But again, I mean, you have to get out of it. I mean, if you're in, you can't even imagine what zero DTE or one DTE, what happens when like you pop under, like you better get out of it at 580. Because I mean, look at that bounce, 583, and you can say, oh well, it went back down. The discomfort of that move and just not knowing, is this just going to retrace all the way up? I mean, this is where they just get washed around all day. And a lot of people, what they'll do, they chose wrong at open. They'll get wrecked there. Then they'll chase it about here. Then they'll get, so it's just like, it's difficult. And that was a good day. You go back to Thursday, you want to trade that?
It's pretty
I mean, look
washy.
at how confused even my little algo thing is with it's like, your buy and sell signals on a 5 minute chart. Um, that's what traders are trying to do. And no, not for me at all.
Yeah, I don't know how it works on option side, but share side, you get that action, especially on a lower volume like Thursday was, you're not getting filled anyway. And if you are, it's partial. I mean, or you're getting a bad
Yeah,
entry.
yeah.
So, yeah, it make no sense.
Yeah, yeah, you're getting a bad like you're down $50 the second you buy something, and then you're just hoping. That's what Thursday was for people. So, uh, yeah,
Yeah, Thursday was almost untradeable on that chart. Jesus.
yeah. Or well, I guess it wasn't Thursday. What was it?
It's
Whatever
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Thursday messed with everything.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. Anything else? Ready to work?
Uh, no, no, I'm good. I'm gonna grab a coffee and we'll hit our names.
Perfect. Like and subscribe. Link
So
somewhere, people.